this interview. So I want to thank you, Aaron. But before we say our goodbyes, my students, please, Aaron is all yours. Ask some questions.
I had a lot of questions, but I'll ask my cinematography question. Specifically
You
related.
can ask more than one question because
I know, but
I'll edit this down so it's still the 45 minutes for everybody else. Yeah.
Okay, I see. But my cinematography question relates to the zombie film, where you're having to balance being an actor, and
Thank you, Cruz.
and operating the camera and being aware of the scene and being aware of P. Ruse's direction, and trying to make and accomplishing a beautiful film. So how did you think about that process as a cinematographer and um, active communication on various sets?
Well, I'll say in that situation, it's just like specifically zombies. I was always an actor second. Maybe, maybe I was always more interested in making sure that we got what we needed to get visually in the time that we needed to get it. I don't know how much Reese told you about like how long it took us to shoot that film, and it was like over like 2 years of us shooting.
No, I didn't say that. Yeah, it's 2 years. Yeah.
you know, and so it's and so as I'm acting, as I'm shooting, I have to keep in mind what happened previously, and honestly, my focus is on how do I make sure that I get these shots because I'm not an actor by trade, but I'm working with people who are, you know, and so how do we tell this story in the time that we have to tell it in the way that we want to tell it? Honestly, you know, if we were to shoot that film again, there's so many things that we'll do differently, you know, I'm sure. But it was just like even I'm Spike Lee talks about this. He talks about this about his when he acts in his movies. When he's in front of the camera, yes, he has his DP direct because it's just too much brain. It's too much brain power to to use at once, And so I'm always focused on like, okay, it's just framing, especially when you're also the camera operator. It's just framing good. It's just lighting good, you know. It can be especially something like a zombie when we were shooting. Like there's a lot of improv happening too. Like, do I need to call cut? Because Bruce gave us the power also to call cut if we saw something was was out of place, And so you think about all these things, right? As I had the camera in my hand, and I always see myself as an actor second in that. So it's always thinking about, am I helping to tell the story the way that Bruce wants and needs the story to be told? And then so I have lines. Okay, give me another take. I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah, Aaron. So, Aaron, I'm from India. So, I've been working on a film from, like, I want to make a film on the statues as an identity. And so, Piruz was asking me why do you want to make this film? And I was searching for the answer and I got the answer. Like, the film is for myself or for the community or for the people. So, definitely it starts for me, for myself itself. So yeah, as you were talking from the starting as an identity, I always lose my identity as a perspective. Like I keep searching for my identity as a filmmaker, as a social activist back in India, or what I'm searching for. I'm still looking for it. I don't have an answer for it. So yeah, I just does. What do you think?
And you also need to give context, right? So you're trying to depict a certain caste within Indian society from which you are from that is oftentimes demoralized, and put down.
Yep.
And there's prejudice and discrimination towards
Yes.
that. And it ends up being represented in these statues, which end up going into ill repair and defaced. Correct?
Yes. Yes.
Well, see, because even then, I would ask. You say you're doing it for yourself and for your community, but what is it like? I still ask why. Like, what is it that? What is that itch that you're trying to scratch, and for whom? When I say for whom, like that the answer could be for myself. Yeah, but you're not just showing it to yourself, because I think about this a lot with like, especially like black filmmakers here, where I see black filmmakers who make stuff, and even some like big name black filmmakers who make stuff, right? And I don't feel that they're making it for us. you know, they're making it for other people's eyes, right? And so my question is, you say you want to, but what you want to make it for yourself and your community, and I ask to drill down on that why, and is everything about that? Like, does it drive down to that theme of doing it for yourself and in your community, and why? And your community watches this, what will they say about it? You know, because I think there is a certain nuance when we're doing things for the community that represent the community, and that the community can say represents them. Because I think about, I'm gonna say her name. I think about, there are a lot of like black filmmakers who like someone like Tyler Perry, right? I do not like his stuff. I think his stuff is terrible. But there's one thing that I would never doubt about Tyler Perry. I would never doubt that he's making his films for black people. As
Mm.
terrible as they are, he knows his audience, and that's who he's doing this stuff for, right? And I've never doubted that. Where there are other people, I think of a film like, what is the name of this movie? I, I did not like this movie. I think the name of the movie is Dope. I don't know. It came out like 11, it's like nine,
Yeah,
8 years ago
dope. Yeah, it was.
with
It
with
did
those high
it did
schoolers.
okay, but it was not necessarily for the African American community. It was
No,
for other
yeah.
people, kind of wanting a window dressing of a certain lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Agree.
And so I just say, just think about that as you're making these stats, because there's things about your film and about the subject matter that only you and your community express. And I'm not saying that needs to be in a film. Sometimes, a lot of times, it doesn't. You know,
Yes.
but like you can, but I do. There's a way to make it where you and your community are like, yeah, this is for us. This reminds me of this filmmaker who I think is really good, Kathleen Collins. He made her film Losing Ground. Um, and my homegirl before her, I mentioned earlier that she started an interview with Kathleen Collins. Kathleen Collins passed away like years ago, and she talked about how she was showing this movie. She like four walled a movie theater in New York, in like the '80s, to like show it, to screen this film. She had like this homeless guy walks in off the street and watches the film, you know, and this guy, he was talking back to the screen, but he got the movie. Like, he's watching the movie and he's like, don't mess with her. She's bad news. And Kathleen Collins is like, yes, this guy gets it. This is who I'm. Then that's who she was making the film for. Even if the other people don't get it, she understood who she was making. And I watched this film. And the movie's great. I expected what she was doing, but some other people watch it and they're like, "Oh," but there's some nuance there. You know, and so you're making the. I'm curious. Explore that why more. You know, and I'm curious to see that why show up in that film as well.
And you know what's great about Aaron is that he pulls out the best of you. And
Yes.
that is a great question for you, Ashish, because I don't know if you realize it, but I have a better idea of your film now in this constellation of Nathan Fielder, of Kaveh Zahidi, of Kathleen Collins, of Aaron Lee Dowell, and this question of why that he asked, right? So if you're following the statues and how they're defaced within the communities, Ashish,
Yes.
and then you are also doing on-camera appearances, why can't you also make this question part of the search and the quest that is part of the film, which is, what is my identity? You ask this question. So what is your identity? Maybe that question is what you're also searching for in these statues whose faces are being eroded,
Yes.
right? So are you still Indian? Or
Mm.
are you not Indian anymore, right? Because this is disappearing or this isn't being taken care of. That's a very, very
'Cause I
powerful image
also
and thought. Yeah.
think of Marlon Riggs, right? Like this is something that he does in his film, where he's very much curious about like how he's reflected in the work that he does. He's a documentary filmmaker who uses very different type, like different types of media and different types of like performances to tell these stories. But in it, he's in all of his films. His films are always about him, but they're also not about him. You know, because he's asking that why, who am I? And he's really bearing like himself as he's making these films.
Thanks. Thanks for this. I'll think about it and I'll work on.
Okay, I think we've reached our end. We want to thank you so much for your time. I can't wait for you to be here in Carbondale with us and the exciting films we're going to explore. So thank you so much. And I think all of you can also say your thanks to Aaron and we'll send him off.
Well, thanks for having me, Peruse. You and I just need to talk anyway.
Oh, yeah, lots of things
just,
going on.
I know I need to catch up, man.
That's okay. We'll catch up.
But no, it's just great. I love hearing filmmakers because every struggle that you're going through is a struggle that Peruse and I have gone through. And I think if we weren't thinking deeply about, because it sounds like everybody here is also thinking deeply about how their films affect the world around them. And if you're not thinking about that with your films, I don't see why make them.